Of this, and I'm going to go over a few housekeeping things as we get started this evening. And then I have a couple of introductions to make, and then we will rock and roll. All right, our workshop tonight will last 1 hour. This is the first part of a workshop is going to be 4 sessions long, and I'll post up the dates and other information as we near the end of our time together this evening. If you don't mind keeping your microphone recorded off so we can have a clean recording, and I will send a link out to each of you that's in attendance tonight of tonight's workshop for reference. If you would like to have closed captioning on, that is available at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're on a computer, that you can turn that on or off. I encourage you to utilize our chat tonight to introduce yourself, ask questions, share resources, tips, and any reactions you have to the information we're sharing. If you'd like to be on camera tonight, we'd love to see your smiling face. If not, no worries. Some folks are not in a good place to have their camera on tonight, and that is totally okay. And at the end of our presentation tonight, we'll post a brief survey that is confidential information to come back to the SBDC so we can learn a little bit more about what's working for you, what are some other topics that you're interested in for your business, and any information that we can help improve our workshops going forward. All right. Well, I want to extend another warm welcome to each of you and express my gratitude for your attendance in tonight's workshop. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you Ken McFadden, who is the Director of Economic Development for Botetourt County, who's joined us this evening. Ken?
Great. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. Would like to just take a minute to welcome everyone and to say thank you for investing your time and resources to participate in Vision 2023, particularly with finances. We know the number one reason why small businesses fail is cash flow. It's a financial problem. And so as a county government, as a Department of Economic Development, partnering with Heather and the Small Business Development Center is very important for us to then help our small businesses find the resources, find the tools to increase their likelihood of success. And so we want you to know that we're committed to supporting you in this and in many ways. And so really, I just wanted to join this evening to say thank you for investing your time in this program, and to thank the Small Business Development Center and Heather for delivering the program. And so with that, I'll call it there. And again, if there's anything you need from Botetourt County or from Botetourt County Economic Development, please do not ever hesitate to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ken. And I'd like to reiterate the appreciation and gratitude to you, Ken, and to the county administration and the Board of Supervisors for providing support and collaboration with the SBDC to provide support for our small businesses throughout the county. It has truly been a joy, and excited to see all the many things and some familiar faces here with us this evening. Well, for those of you who I haven't had a privilege to meet, my name is Heather, and as you're gleaning from our conversation here, I'm the Botetourt Advisor, and this is made available to you in partnership with Botetourt County and the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center. All right, I want to reiterate and thank you for making time to work on your business. I have this cheesy little clapper, which everybody thinks is so funny, but I want to give you a little high five and a little clap for working on your business tonight. This is a workshop, which means we will have time to work on your business. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. As a small business owner, you are a goal getter and a goal setter. I would love to hear from you in the chat. Who's with me? If you are a goal setter, to show me that you are all in tonight. Whether you're a solopreneur or you're a business owner that manages a team of people, maybe it's a team of a half-time employee or a full-time employer, you have 10 employees. Goals need to be set before they can be measured. And success looks different for each of you. Let's be realistic. Everybody's in a different place and time in their business. Some of you have been in business maybe for a really long time, maybe a decade or more. Others maybe have been in business for 6 months. Others have been in business for 5 years, and everything in between. So one of the things with that mindset, your goals are going to be different as you're looking ahead for 2023 and what that looks like for you. As we prepare to work on our 2023 financial goals, I want to share with you a few guardrails. And I'd love to hear from you in the chat which of these guardrails resonates with you and which that you've used that aren't on my list. A few that I use when I'm planning and working on workshops and planning for the SBDC, as well as working with other clients, is to think about what are their goals and are they specific? And if not, how do we bring them from this really broad space and niche them down? I also encourage you to think about what are some milestones that are going to help you stay on track to reach those goals? And what is that timeline? Are these short-term goals? Maybe it's a goal by the end of the week. Maybe let's back it up. Even it's by the end of the day, I need to get this specific task done, because that is going to be almost the leapfrog approach going forward to the other goals that I have set that will fast forward looking to the end of 2023. What are those places in time that I need to be setting for myself? Another guardrail that I use is working on goals that are relevant and that align with my role and your role as a business owner and what your core beliefs are. And there goes that timeline again. I know that sounds silly and kind of poking the dead horse, but I think that's so important to figure out what is that timeline that we're working with. Some other goal setting tools that you may be familiar with are SMART goals. Does anybody know what a SMART goal is? I'm sure some of you do, but they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals. Another tool that I've recently learned about is math goals, which means they're measurable, they're accessible, and they're planned or purposeful. That P can be interchangeable depending on how you're feeling in the moment. Are there any guardrails that you have used that you see on this that you like from this list, or other ones that have been really helpful for you when you are working on your goals? All right. Okay, friends, now that we have our guardrails in place, we are going to dig into our guardrails. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Number one is a good one for you. I will be specific with my goals. Nice. That is so true. Okay. So I want you to take out a piece of paper, or if you're working on your computer and you have a Word document or a notepad up, you're working on a tablet, and I want you to simply draw exactly what you see on the screen here. So 4 boxes. So a vertical line, a horizontal line, and we're going to break out into 4 goals. Some of you may have more than 4 goals for the year. Some of you may only have 1 goal for the year. A few examples of goals that I want you to think about are you interested in increasing your sales? What is your end of the year revenue going to be? Do you want to increase the number of customers you're engaging with? Are you thinking about launching a new product or service? These are very specific to you and your business. Okay. Is everybody ready for me to move forward to the next slide? Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes, since I don't see any thumbs up or anything. So we're going to keep on rolling here. All right. Thank you, Jeff and Brandy. All right. It is time for you to dream big. I mean it. I want you to really think about, what is that big, hairy, audacious goal that you have been dreaming about, that you want to do to achieve in 2023? If I called you on December 31st, what would you tell me? What is that big goal that you want to reach looking ahead? If we're standing at the last day of the year and we've looked back, what is that goal? What is really going to catapult your business forward to continue your growth. So we're going to take just a couple of minutes here, and I will let you know when we have a minute left. So on that quadrant of paper, I want you to start to think about, what are those goals? I gave you a few examples. Those, you can scrap them, you can latch onto them, whichever suits your fancy. But I'd love for you to take a few minutes to write out a couple of goals. And like I said, some of you may just have one goal, some of you have multiple goals. Some of you want to break that big goal into little bite-sized pieces. And if you would like to share in the chat, you're welcome to, or you can DM me. And keep in mind, this is a judgment-free space, and it's all about you and you working on your business. Goals are personal, and it makes it hard to want to share. Is this even reasonable to do? I think it is, but it's up to you and your mindset. All right, I'm going to start the clock. So we're at 5:11. So at 5:15, we're going to come back together and move on to the next phase of our workshop. So I will let you know when we've got 60 seconds left. Some of you may need more than that. Some of you may need less, but I'm going to let you work. All right, friends, we have 1 minute left. Okay, we are at our 4 minutes together for you dreaming big and writing down your goals. How did that feel? Was it too much time? Not enough time? Just right? I'd love to hear your feedback through the chat. And if anyone feels comfortable sharing, you're welcome to share in the chat as well. No pressure. Just right. Okay, super. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, well, we're going to keep moving because we've got some more work to do. So now that you mapped out your goals, we're going to start to work on mapping that path forward. I want you to keep in mind, just like the 4 minutes we spent together, we have a limited time together tonight, and you may not have all of the data or the time to make an informed decisions on what some of those next steps are. That's okay. We have 3 more sessions planned for you to continue to work together, and I'm also available to work with you one-on-one as you are interested in. As you can see this quote on the screen tonight that I just thought was so relevant to what we're working on, is a good financial plan is a roadmap that shows us exactly the choices we make today will affect our future. My goodness, if that is not the truth. So the other thing I want you to think about, in addition to that quote, is so much of this is your mindset. And what are you willing to say yes to? What are you willing to say no to? And what are those non-negotiables? Going back to those guardrails, really staying true to your path of working towards those goals. And some of it may be realizing, oh, this is going to be more than a year goal. This may be a 2-year or a 2.5 or a 3-year goal. And what things are out of our control as business owners that we're responding to or even reacting to from the economy around us. So another thing that I want you to think about is that you are capable of manifesting your goals and intentions this year, and to be in that mindset as we move into the next phase of our workshop. Okay, I am going to place in the chat our worksheets for you all, and I'll also email this to you, but on that same sheet of paper, I want you to take a deeper dive for goal 1. I want you to either turn the page of your notebook or start another sheet, and we're going to start unpacking and getting a little bit down into the weeds with our goals this year. For goal 1, why do you want to work on this goal? What inspired you to get to this place? Has this been on your backlog list or your parking lot that I have up in my office? I have a whiteboard that's just things that I want to get done that can really move things forward, but they just take time, and it takes time to dedicate and map out what does that process look like. What do you need to achieve this goal? Do you need other business partners? Do you need access to capital? Do you need to fine tune your workflow? Do you need to hire another employee? Do you need to enhance your marketing? What are those things? Those are just a few ideas. What are those different pieces that are going to be necessary for you to be able to achieve this goal? And what are those small milestones that you're going to be able to work through to get to that goal? Okay. Yes, Sarah, you had more than 4. I hope you can do it all. Me too, friend. Me too. I am cheering for you and believing in you. Okay, so I want you to take the next couple minutes to think about those things. And what is the deadline for this goal? Is this something that you want to achieve by the end of January? Is that too much of a sprint? Is this an end of February? Is this the end of a Q3 goal? Is this a Q1 goal? What feels right to you? It almost feels like an accordion at some point when you're working through these goals. Some of them feel really long and drawn out, and others are very compressed in little bite-sized pieces that are rolling into the bigger goal at large. So we're going to take just a couple of minutes for you guys to put your pen to paper or your fingers to the keyboard to work on goal 1 and those 3 pieces there. And I'm going to place this file in our chat. So bear with me for just 1 second. Okay, that should be coming over to you. Looks like it's loading as we speak. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on this portion of our workshop, and I will come back at 5:24 for us to reconvene and give you a time check. 1 minute left. Okay, friends, we have 1 minute left as we're working on this part of the workshop and worksheets. Okay. I want to press pause here for a minute and open up the floor for any questions. How are you feeling? Are we ready to move on to the next part of our workshop tonight. Okay. Excellent. It's like we are ready to roll. Thank you. Okay. We're going to dig a little bit deeper than our broad strokes. So with goal 1, I want you to start to map out, and you can do this for each of your goals, but we have limited time together tonight. So I wanted to get those wheels greased and lay out some framework to help you all with this. Of what are those action steps? Who is responsible for it? If you're a solopreneur, is it you? Is it somebody else that you want to have you join your team? Have you outsourced something that you need their help with? If you have a team of people, who can you delegate some of these tasks to so that you as the owner don't feel like everything is falling on your shoulders and you're wearing all the hats and it feels like it's a balancing act for you day in and day out? What are some of those target dates? And even targeting, taking a step back of almost laying a look at it almost like little breadcrumbs. If I need to get from this point to this point, are there some little, 1.A that I need to check off the list, or 1.B to get me towards the bigger goal at large? Are there potential obstacles that we may have control over and maybe we don't? Some of those could be environmental. Some of them could be the grocery store. I'll pick on you, Brandy, for a minute since you're here. The cost of eggs, those things are out of your control, but as a business owner, they impact your day-to-day operations of your bakery. You're the problem. Me too. We love our eggs. And what are some of those solutions? What are those out of the box, thinking really creatively, thinking differently, almost putting ourselves in a different role than the business owner to see what are those solutions? What are those opportunities? Are there some partnerships there? Is there another business in Botetourt County or in the greater region or the Allegheny Highlands that's close-ish to where you are that could help solve a problem for you? Is there something that you need to delegate that you absolutely, to reach that goal, I need to be able to outsource this piece of work or this part of my business to be able to grow my business? Is that even hiring an employee that they're paying for themselves because they're generating more revenue for the business? So we're going to take the next couple minutes. We're going to come back in 5 minutes. So that puts us at 5:33 I want you to map out what are those action steps. And you're not going to have time to fill all that out. Maybe you will, but most people, this takes a little bit longer process. Maybe those couple squares are not quite enough to work on. And you don't have to do the grid if you don't want to. If you want to put the subjects down the line, or some people want to get really fancy and have this in an Excel file, you can do that for you. And part of that's finding a system that works for you and your processes. All right, my friends, so I will come back on at 5:32 to give us a 1-minute check. All right, we've got 1 minute left. Okay, that's our time. And Sarah, that's great. She says, this is really helpful breaking things down in the 5 minutes of pressure. It feels like being on shot. That's great. Well, I will share one little tip with you as you say that, because I do think that's such a great analogy. And I certainly don't want it to feel like it's chopped, but we can all fill our time with so many things. And so with this exercise, I hope that you are also seeing, if we have 10 minutes, it's going to take, we can fill that 10 minutes really easily. If we give ourselves very specific, going back to those guardrails of this is the time that I have to work on this, let's block that time and manage it, but also check in with ourselves. Is the 5 minutes enough? Do I need, on the total other spectrum, do I need a full day to prepare for this? Is this a bigger block that needs time blocked throughout the week that I can work on these projects? When we're working on the business, that's just a different mindset and a different place and time, especially when we're working on financial pieces. There's a lot of data that you're going to need to gather as you're looking at previous years' information. And it takes time. It takes time to map out. If you all saw my calendar, probably, I don't even know. It makes my head hurt some days, but it's been really helpful to block out time to work on things and turn off your notifications, turn off all these other things, gather the information that you need to sit down in an uninterrupted space to work on these pieces. For example, let's say you're working on one of your financial goals and you can see you're at the end of the month and you checked in, you're like, gosh, I only need this amount more sales to be able to reach my goal. What are those action steps that you're going to put in place to make that happen? Are you reaching out to past customers? Are you promoting the product that you've just launched, for example? Are you calling those loyal customers just to remind them as a gentle nudge that you're here and you're open for business? Are you showing up at another vendor event if you don't have a brick and mortar space? What are those ways that you're engaging with your audience? Do you send out a coupon? Got a coupon from a business today that was like, oh yeah, I could go see them. I've been meaning to stop in, but that was the trigger in my mind that I need to put that on my calendar to pop in and see that before the coupon expires. So there's all different ways that we can be in front of us. And you all know this as better than I do, being small business owners. We are inundated with information daily. And it takes time to set those guardrails and block those times. And maybe it's going to a different space in your house. Maybe it's going to one of the Botetourt libraries. Maybe it's going to one of the coffee shops and sitting uninterrupted. Maybe it's headphones on, put on some good music and being in a place. Maybe you need time with somebody like myself as your advisor who you can present your information to and we can build out a strategy. Some people need work better in teams. Some people need a thinking pair. And sometimes their business partner or their spouse is like, enough, you figure it out on your own. So I say all that to you need to find your rhythm and cadence that works for you. And some of it is trial and error. Maybe the time blocking is like, no way, I cannot commit to that. And that's okay too, but you're going to find your rhythm and system, which we'll dig into here a little bit deeper in just a minute. I agree, Brandy, the time blocking. Me too. I've been doing time blocking for years, but it is definitely still a work in progress for me as well. And Sarah has shared about Chrissy posting that she and her husband were on vacation beginning of the year. They plan out their entire year for their business. That's awesome. So that's another thing. You know, there's opportunities to even meet up with a group of business owners and have a planning session, to meet up with myself and or one of my colleagues, or you can do this on your own. But I hope that these tools become really helpful. And this is something that's really evergreen to you to use year after year, you know, and finding that thing of this worked really well, and then using it throughout the year, you know, having that reference. Maybe you have a place in your office or your workshop or your business that is a place that you as the owner can see that these things are front and center to remind you, why am I doing this and what goals am I setting financially and how am I working towards those financial goals to grow my business? Okay. All right, we're going to dig a little bit deeper. It feels like we're getting down into the dirt now. So when we talked about the actions on the last worksheet, that was a very high level. So one of the things I want you to think about to the next, almost going backwards down the ladder, of what are those even micro pieces of your goals that are going to help you get to the bigger financial goal that you set up earlier this evening. So we're going to take another couple of minutes. I want to keep an eye on our time here this evening. So we're going to take 3 minutes this time for you to just map out what are those steps. The first step, let's say you're starting an email list of, you have the potentially have the data, you know, your clients want to hear from you. If they've opted in to hear from you, is setting up a email campaign. Okay, what is that, and how do we use that data to then turn into numbers to get more, to increase our purchases, to increase our overall sales? Maybe you need to look at your products. What's selling really well? And are there ways, do we need to recalibrate our pricing and to do a complete analysis of our pricing? Do we eliminate a product is a hassle to make, that you don't enjoy, and it's not making you much money? It's okay to adjust, or maybe you have that back seasonally. There's all different ways that you as the business owner can recalibrate how you're doing business to increase your profitability and increase those sales and meet those goals that you're setting financially. Okay, we're going to come back. I will give you a time check at 5:44. So I'm going to mute my microphone and we will work on this part of the worksheet. All right, friends, we have 1 minute left of this session. All right, friends, we have come to the end of the first set of worksheets. And to be respectful of everyone's time this evening, I'm going to move into the next session of our workshop. So we do have time for question and answer at the end. And in your packet, there are these same worksheets mapped out for goals 1 through 4. Each of them has a bundle of those 3 worksheets that we worked on tonight. Feel free to print those out. I will email those to you as well after we wrap up tonight's workshop, along with the copy of the recording for you all to access. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to skip through these next couple slides because I mapped out the next 4 goals for us. All right, you have set your goals for 2023. That cheesy clapper gets me every time, but I can't resist. How are you feeling? Feel free to post up in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. How was that exercise? And know that we're all in progress as we're embracing these new challenges and opportunities and sitting down to take time away from answering the phone and answering email and working on social media, all of those things that make our businesses run. If you own a brick and mortar, all the pieces of that daily day-to-day operation. If you have employees, all of the minutia that you working with those folks. So good. Jeff says perfect. And Sarah says she's feeling motivated. Awesome. That is fabulous. Anybody else care to share how they're feeling tonight? Focused. Yes. Good words. Good, good, good. That is awesome. Okay. So I want to share with you a few tools and systems with the caveat, as I've mentioned earlier, I want you to find what works for you. What is that rhythm? What is your cadence to figure out how do all these pieces work together for you? Is it implementing technology? Is it the trusty pen and paper? Is it a paper planner? Is it a combination of both? There's all kinds of software out there and available to you. A lot of it is free or a freemium version that they give you a small trial for you to move into the paid software as a service as a paid version. And everybody's going to find their own rhythm. And the beautiful thing about being a small business owner is if it's not working, you can delete it or rip that paper up and let's try something different. You have that autonomy to figure out what works for you. I personally love the digital, but I also keep a whiteboard in front of me that I map out what are the top 5 things that I have to get done, that I am the cog in the wheel, if you will, for things going forward. I also keep a notebook. I also have a digital, take notes digitally. Some days it's all of them together. I have some clients that love sticky notes and they have a whole wall of sticky notes and they move things around through the sticky notes. So this has a priority and it's color coded. I say all that to try it. If it's not working, that's okay. You haven't lost anything other than a little bit of time and probably some frustration. But other than that, you've learned that that doesn't work for you and that's okay. And I also want you to think about, how are you tracking your goals? Do you have a system in place so that you can see where you are on reaching your goals? Are you 10% of the way there on the pie graph, as you can see here on the screen? Are you 75% of the way done? Are you at 0 and is like, whoa, we haven't even started? And that needs to maybe be moved to the parking lot or to the backlog list. Is like, that is not going to be an attainable goal this year. And I know that, and that needs to be suspended. And that's okay. Part of this is, I want you to think about not setting yourself up for failure, but to set yourself up for success, to be able to grow and expand your business by increasing your financial processes here going forward. I also want you to think about, what are those check-in dates? We've spent some time mapping out for goal 1. What is that goal? What are the action steps? Who's responsible for that? Et cetera, et cetera. But I want you to also, with that, we set a deadline. If that's due at the end of March, what are those check-in points in time? And you, again, need to determine what that looks like for you. Is that a weekly check-in? Is that an every other week check-in? Is that the end of the month check-in to say, oh, we are on target, or we need to push pause and recalibrate? We being you, if you're a solopreneur, or who's your accountability party to check in with you. If this is a longer goal, if this is something that's quarterly or in every other month, maybe it's an end of the year goal. What are those key dates that you want to have on track to make sure that you're ready to meet this goal? Something else that I've started implementing is the color codes, those dots. And these look very familiar for all of those of us that drive. They look like a stoplight. So the green means that you've blocked time to work on your goal. You have them on your calendar, they're started, and you're going to meet the deadline. Yellow means I haven't blocked any time, but I've started to think about it. We've started tonight, so maybe we're in the yellow category, but we're still on track to meet the deadline. And red means we're stuck. We've either switched directions, we've recalculated and reversed out of that, or we're just not going to meet the deadline. There is no judgment. If you like colors, this is a great system. Or if you have a team that you're working with, or you're a solopreneur, it just is a great way visually. Is like, okay, we're on track, or we've got a problem here and we need to readjust what we're working on. I also feel like milestones for these goals are meant to be celebrated, and challenges are meant to be acknowledged. You are not alone. If a challenge comes up or roadblocks come up, reach out, find some other folks that are either in your small business and your peer group, or that are also your advisor like myself, or you can reach out to Ken. We are all here championing you to be a part of your small business journey. You are all an integral part of what makes our community magical and interesting and a great place to live, work, play in our region. Also thinking about who's in your inner circle that you would feel comfortable sharing with. Something is just as simple as, hey, I've met my milestone this week, and do a high five. Buy one of these silly little clappers. I know it's so silly, but some of those things matter. Do you have a star chart? Maybe you remember when you were a kid. Did you have one of those star charts? There is nothing wrong with that. It's visually, if that motivates you, do it. Find the system that works for you and celebrate those milestones. As I mentioned, accountability partners to meet our goal. So in addition to tonight's meetup for our first part of Vision 2023, I have set up 3 additional dates for us to meet, to have quarterly check-ins. Since you've attended tonight, I will be sending you those invitations for those dates. We'll meet via Zoom, and I hope you will consider joining me and your peers to check in with each other, celebrate those successes. If you want to bring all those milestones and get lots of high fives, we can do that. If you've hit a roadblock and you're like, I need help, reach out. We are here to help you on your journey. What's next? We have a few other options in between the quarterly meetup that you have available to you. As I mentioned, you'll get a follow-up email from me with additional information. reach out. You can call, text any of us. You can email us. I'll make sure that you have Ken's contact information as well. If you are not involved in a peer group, I encourage you to do that. We have a great group. We have several different groups that are established, and I'm getting ready to start another group here. And if you're in Botetourt, I'd love to talk to you more about that. All right. Thank you. We covered a lot of information in our 55 minutes together. So I am going to stop sharing and stop our recording, and I am going to turn on our poll. So bear with me for just a second.